What's good, everybody? This is your boy Poetic.
This is your boy Mr. M2J, and this is another episode of Latino Soul Filter Podcast.
Today we're going to actually be doing a special episode. We're going to have a guest with us, as well as talking about what this month signifies. No, it is not. What's the name of the month?
Men's mental
health. But there's a second
mental
thing.
Health.
Yeah, but what's the second thing that it's supposed? It's not Pride Month, y'all. Men's Mental Health Month was created first. It's been overshadowed, so we want to make sure we bring to our fellow men an episode about men's mental health. We have nothing towards Pride people, but the fact is, men's mental health gets overlooked. So this is what this episode is about. It's about men's mental health.
Undervalued, overlooked.
Over 100%. So
So we're going to bring back a special guest to talk about this topic. It was here in the last episode, so you guys welcome Mr. Fishback one more time to the podcast.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. And here we go. Hello. How are you?
Welcome back, Mr. Fishback, to another episode of Latino Soul Filter. Today, we're going to be discussing a topic that is very close and dear to us, which is the month of June, Men's Mental Health Month. For all the other people that think that is something else, we were here first. So we're going to sit here and just enjoy it like we should.
So let me pull out while we get ready.
Let you pull out? No kids.
Never pull out. Always push in. But anyway.
Oh, no.
No, but going seriously on this. So how's the weather where is everybody at? It's freezing and drenching rain over here.
I'm just in a bipolar state. Can't help it.
It started having a bit of a rainstorm here in Texas.
Does it rain bad there?
Huh?
Does it rain bad there when it rains?
We get flash floods.
Okay.
Because it's kind of like Tennessee, where it's almost clay-like mud.
Yeah.
And so there's only so much that the ground can take before it just starts stacking up.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So, to start here, talking about Men's Mental Health Month.
Let's do this.
And we're gonna start from the get-go. We're gonna rip the bandage off, and we're gonna talk about this. Now, my question is, what impact does financial stress have on men's mental well-being?
Ooh.
How has that affect you all as men mentally, knowing the financial struggles that we have to go in today's economy and world?
I think it's probably on one of the top 3 biggest impacts for guys that will have. I know when I lost a lot of money, got it stolen from me, that it greatly impacted me and came close to walking off a cliff edge. But because you are expected to succeed and you're not expected to have really any handouts from friends or family, even if it's not meant as an insult or anything like that, there's this bit of pride in and of yourself of I shouldn't have to, regardless of whether or not they're intending any sort of anything other than I want to be nice to you, right?
Yeah,
it's a really difficult thing, and money, especially here in the Western Hemisphere, is such a difficult thing, because now men and women are making it, but men are still expected to provide the vast majority of the funds that run the household, even if it is a dual income household, even if the woman makes more.
Yeah.
Not every household, but a good chunk of them.
Yeah. It's just kind of crazy. I mean, on my own personal opinion, when it comes down to the financial stability. As me as being a family man, family guy, type of thing. Kids being raised, kids and stuff like that. Uh, the the stress of having the money to actually do simple things that are outside of just paying bills, it becomes beyond stressful because at the end of the day, everybody in the house wants to do something. And then when you get stuck in a situation where you are doing the best that you can in the situation that you've been placed in life, and you still come up short, and you still get bickering, and you still get complaints about, oh, you don't this, you don't that, you don't the other, and it just places this unseen burden on your shoulders and your mind that is like sometimes is like no lie, like sometimes I just want to go to sleep and never wake up. So the whole horror show is kind of over because it's like it's never good enough, because there's always something going on, it's always something breaking. And in my particular situation is like, I'm going to tell you a little personal story. We have this situation here where I use my car to go to work, and I'm a bus driver. And out of nowhere, things just start happening in rapid success. First, it was I took my car for to change one. What's it called again? The compressor for the AC.
Okay.
Everything is working good. They changed the compressor. I spent the money. I bought the part. They just, I just had to pay for the installation to the mechanic. Everything is working good because the guy said, hey, your compressor is bad, so now you need to get a new one. Now I come to find out there's a leak. So now I have to go find the leak. So now watch this. While they were fixing the compressor, I kind of noticed that one of the employees actually broke the latch that keeps the hood closed. So on my way to work, while the AC is feeling beautiful, I start noticing my car doing this sound. And I'm on the turnpike. So what happened? I called a mechanic and I'm like, yo, I just stopped on the side of the road and I've just realized that the latch was broken and not just the latch, but the oh my god, the air bars that are on the side of the hood so it stays open. He ripped the rubber that they were in, so now they don't hold open anymore. That was never broken. So come to find out, watch this. I take my wife to go over there, and one of the mechanics tells me, oh, the guy that broke that stuff don't work here no more. But I told him he broke them, so they should be fixing it. So they never took accountability for that shit. So now what they did is that they were supposed to go get the parts or whatever. Now I ended up buying the part. Now I got the part sitting on my living room. So they patched it up to the point that now it's closed. And if I ever open it, it's going to come apart again and I won't be able to close it. And I have to take it there so they can change the part and still charge me for the labor. Not given that they still haven't changed the air rods to keep the hood open. Now, a little bit after that, now I had to change my brakes and the rotors. And just last week, around Tuesday, the little maintenance light for the oil change started blinking because the time to change the oil is coming nearby. So I just keep looking at the sticker on the window, on the windshield, and the odometer on the car, and the numbers just getting closer and closer to match. And I'm like, if I take this car to take an oil change, just to do an oil change, I have to make sure that I have the money enough to cover the repair for the freaking latches that broke. I have to do the brakes, and I have to find the money to fix the AC, especially now that we're going into summer. Here is no joke.
Yeah.
So it's like now you have all those things on my own. Mind you, this is just my car. Yet I have to worry about also maintaining car insurance for me and my wife's car. Her car started making noises too. So I had to make sure that she has that because she's the one that drives the kids up and down the street, to go wherever they need to go to. And all these other, normal stuff that, we all do on a day-to-day basis. But at the end of the day, everybody turns around and look at me for where's the money at type of thing. So you see what I'm saying? So like the amount of pressure that is put on us men to just like not give up and just keep on like, okay, I gotta get up, I gotta go to work. And I have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to be at work at 5, to drive a bus all the way from 5 o'clock in the morning all the way to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I get a little lunch in between the two things if I don't pick up a school field trip. So like, when does it stop? And the fact of the matter is that in no shade to my family, but I get more love from my cat and my dog that wait for me at the door when I walk back home than I do from them. Because from them it's like, hey, I need this and I need that and I need this and I need a new shirt and I need this and I need to buy this and I need to get this and we're missing this. And it's just like, when does it stop?
My dad, me and my dad never had any issues, right? Like, I never had any issues or rebellion phase when I was a teenager, right? I was always the dutiful son of getting along and like going with him and helping him whenever the family needed something.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest issues or stop pause moments for me, I suppose, is a good way of saying it, is my dad had to pull me aside at one point. He's like, I love it that you want to greet me at the door and go, hey, Dad, how was your day? But, man, you need to give me 30 minutes after I walk through the door to change from, like, here's the stresses of everything. Let me drink my Crown and Coke, and then I want your love. Give me a moment to change hats.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge part of today, that men aren't allowed to have that, because a lot of younger men, I say that like mid-30s and younger, they're changing hats as playing video games for an hour or two. And the amount of times I hear older men or women bashing these young men who just spent 12 hours on the road and working and climbing up telephone poles and going, oh, they don't do enough at the house. It's like, he's literally in the same room as the kid. Like, if the wife needed something, he's there to help. He's just decompressing from a long day of work before he fully, 100% focuses on her.
And to understand that some families even have this teenagers and young adults still living at home and don't do a lick to support the household.
Yep.
And then when you come home, automatically becomes, you need to do this, you need to do that. And that's something probably as simple as like take out the trash. That, bro.
Now, real quick,
That's like just
read that question one more time. Just one more time.
Mm-hmm. The question again was, shoot, there's so many ones. Hold on. Where did you go?
There's a lot.
I know.
Of money on men's mental health and stress levels is effectively that.
Wait, say it again.
The effect of finances on men's stress is how we get.
Right. So going with what you guys said, I agree. It's especially if you have someone in general for all men, but especially if you have people you take care of or people who you're married to, girlfriend, whatever it is. It's one of those things where when it comes to, especially for our generation, when we grew up, it was very like men were taught, okay, you're supposed to take care of your wife, your girlfriend, whoever you're with. Anything that happens to you guys is pretty much based and placed upon you. So if you don't make money and you don't have anything back up, you got to figure out what to do. It's a 24-hour struggle where it's if all of a sudden I lose a job, it's like, shit, I got to hurry up and try to find something as soon as possible. I'm the kind of person growing up where my mom always said, if you lose a job, get a second one. If you have one job, it doesn't pay enough, get a second one. It's one of those where I was taught, I have very good work ethics. I work, and I've never not worked more than, 50 hours in a week. I mean, under 50 hours in a week. I've always worked a lot of hours to not a good portion of my life. I always, I chase money because money means freedom, and freedom means you can actually relax. So for me, I've always,
Not so much
one
money.
job, I have two jobs. I've always had two jobs. It's just a common thing because unfortunately,
It's not common. I'm sorry. That shouldn't be common. I feel what you're saying, and that's one of the reasons why I had to fight with myself when it comes down to that, because I have to I commend every single man that actually sit down and pull a double or a triple or have two jobs or multiple jobs,
bro, it's
come
not
home
even,
and basically not have a life.
Yeah.
Because me as having one job, and I always fought with myself about that, and I always kind of try to keep that in line, that why in the hell am I going to give my everything to a company that can dismiss you as easy as they can hire somebody else for chasing money? And I'm not, and like you said, money is freedom, but I don't think money is freedom. I think it's just being well financially stable.
Yeah.
That's where I call freedom. When you have a source of income or multiple sources of income where you can actually sit down and breathe without like thinking about, if you buy a pair of pants, you might go without a meal for 2 months or so. You know what I'm saying? But like you saying, like it's they try to incorporate that into our mentality, like, oh, if you're not making enough money with one job, get another one. And if you cannot do it with two, get it with three. But then you're the same guy that will come home and everybody gonna criticize the fact that you're never home, that you cannot take care of your kids, that you cannot take care of your wife, and then your wife cheats on you, your kids don't love you, because now everybody creates a narrative that you are never home, but then they don't see the sacrifices that you do as a man for that family. And then instead of encouraging you and uplifting you, they just put you down and just give you grief. And that's why, a lot of men unalive themselves. Look at the percentage of men that unalive themselves just because stress.
So here's a question for you. So this is something it's weird because, like, how, like, if you could think something your whole life, and then if a celebrity says it, all of a sudden people start thinking about it, and if, depending on celebrity, can go viral. I've always thought this, and my dad's always taught me this, and I've always grown up like this, but it ended up becoming a huge thing in the past 2-3 years when Chris Rock said it. And the minute he said it, there's a lot of guys who apparently they didn't hear it, and a lot of things that there's other guys who grew up like, yeah, I've known this is something we know, and then a lot of women actually went against it, but then surprisingly, I think there's more percentage of women who didn't realize it when they heard it. They were like, holy shit. And that's when it started becoming a huge men's health movement kind of thing, where it's getting bigger on TikTok and other social media. The quote is, only women, children, and dogs are loved unconditionally. A man is only loved under the condition that he provides something.
Yep.
Yeah. And that is true on every place I've ever been, regardless of which continent you go to. And you talked about it before, of like, they talk about, we need more money so we can afford our lifestyle or this, that, and the other thing. But then they turn around and like blame you for, like, why aren't you ever here to give me my emotional support? It's like, honey, I only have one body and there's so many people a day. Like, you want to live here, I can afford here on a normal hours. What do you want me to do?
It's just people need to understand that there's three things that are in the composition of a family. It's time.
Yeah.
Is oh my God, what is this? It's time, is presence, and is affection.
Yeah.
You cannot give all three at all given time, because if you want my time, then I can't go to work.
Mm-hmm.
If you want affection, you cannot have all three together. Because in order for me to create the environment where you can sit down and live somewhat comfortable or more than comfortable, that man has to go outside and fight with the world.
Yeah.
You're saying, and I get that, where we are seen as what we can provide, and I understand it to a degree, because that's our job identity as men. We are the providers, so we're living under the image of true masculinity, because as men, we are supposed to, once we establish a family, we are supposed to provide for them. That's why we are the head of the family, and that's why we are the head of the house, or so far and so on. We're the leader of the family. We are supposed to look out for them. They are under us. They are under our care. They're under our watch. They're under our protection. So yes, I understand that they at some point needs to see that what can I provide to them in order for them to feel secure. But their job at the same time is that when the king of the castle is tired, the queen and the subjects uplift the king, so he can continue to do the good work he does. Because it makes no sense for somebody that is fighting for you and with you to make you sure that you have a comfortable way of life gets criticized about all the mistakes that, as humans, we all make mistakes, but to get put under the microscope and just be like magnified, and like, oh, you don't do this for me, you don't put up, like, something simple, you never put your shoes back on the closet, you leave your shoes always by the door. But when I come home and my feet are swollen and I just want to have release from that pressure, and I take my shoes off, I leave them there so I can go and start relaxing from the moment I come home. You shouldn't be able to, as a man, and this mental, you shouldn't come home to get more criticism and just people bashing at you, when the world out there is being already doing it, and they do it on a daily basis. You're supposed to come home and feel relaxed. That's a lot of people like to use safe space. For men, the house supposed to be a safe space.
Right. So I agree with you. I'm willing to fight the entire world as long as I can go home and be loved.
Thank you.
Yep.
The amount of times that happens, even amongst people who love you, right? Like so like I had a family a party this last weekend, and I could tell that everyone loved me there. Everyone loved me there. They're all family, but no one wanted me there. No one took the time to ask me how my day was going. No one asked me who I was.
Genuinely, not just as this platitude type of thing, like, hey, how your day's going, and then they you really don't want to know, but they just ask just because it's customary.
Right. So one example was they asked they were going around the table of a time that they had a rough flight, and they were talking about, like, oh yeah, I was really worried about this flight because there was turbulence. And I went, when I was in Afghanistan, I got shot at by anti-aircraft weapons. And so we had to take evasion. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then I got lectured for 15 minutes.
Wow.
About, like,
that is crazy.
Be careful with your words. And you made your mom worry 15 years ago when you were in Iraq and this happened. It's like, okay. Literally, that's, the entirety of those kids' lives ago. Why is this still being brought up? Okay, so I guess I can't.
And I mean, and it's kind of sad though, because they brought your experience into a negative light because of the simple fact that you did that so they can continue to enjoy the freedoms that they have today. You see what I'm saying? Which is kind of ridiculous that you would sit down and lecture you because she got worried, and with all understanding, is your mom. She worries about her son. Nothing wrong with that. But the fact that you want to bring that into a negative, she should be feeling proud at the fact that you did something, not just for her, but for the entirety of the country, for them to enjoy the freedoms that they enjoy today and that lavish American life that they have. You know what I'm saying? and to be brought into the negative, it'd be like, oh, but you weathered your mother sick to death because you was over there trying to be soldier. No, he
Not
was
only
not
that,
trying to
but
be soldier. He was a soldier trying
they brought up the
his best to the
conversation.
way.
They brought up the conversation. You can't get mad at someone for answering honestly. And when it comes to like, that's why like when you guys are saying like, come home and have that peace. The one thing, I'm half and half on this, but like a trad wife, a traditional wife, women want this like traditional man. Like they want a traditional man, but they don't want to be traditional women. And then the crazy part is like if you're gonna be the few parts of that whole like the 50s, the 40s, 50s things where the wife was supposed to like, there's some people who make fun of it on social media, and there's been a trend going on where like the husband comes home and he, the wife should be there waiting for him, with a glass of, bourbon or whatever it is that he likes, his robe and slippers. She's there with the slippers. She, puts on his feet, and then he goes in and relaxes for like an hour, and then goes about the day. I do like that to a point, under the condition
I
that if
mean,
your wife is not working at all, there's nothing wrong with saying, here, you know what? Here's this, go sit down, relax. When you're ready in an hour, let's go ahead and continue this day and go from there, because that gives you your peace of mind from that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Like it all depends on who. Like if we're both working, right? Like then you both have to contribute. If one
Exactly.
person is at home, like even with kids, I've whenever we have a family reunion, there's like 200 or 300 kids under the age of 16. Because we only have ours every 3 years, and so everyone across the Fishbeck clan comes.
that's great.
And so it's big. Like, we take up the entire college. We take up the entire mountainside resort of wherever we go. And, like, even dealing with 200 or 300 kids, like, there's only so much mess they make. Like, there's things you can do, especially if you have multiple kids, they're entertaining themselves. They're keeping each other out of trouble. To take care of the daily life stuff, and there's no way you're working 12 full hours a day while the guy's at work.
Thank
like
you.
I've done housework a lot.
I agree with you 100%. And I was gonna actually piggyback out of what you said and take it to the exact same point that you're talking about. Because like Poetic was saying, it's like you come home and they have this expectation from back in the day movies, like she waits for you with your robe and your slippers and whatever. No. How about this? She puts your clothes to be home, like your relaxed clothes. She put them on the bed. She got everything for you set in the bathroom because she knows around what time you came home. If you were a man of custom, if you were a man of routine, that you drive home and you get home around a certain hour depending on traffic or whatever, everything is already ready for you. So you come home, she greets you, hi babe, hopefully your day was good. If it wasn't good, we can talk about that later. There's your shower, go take a shower, your stuff is ready, your clothes is laying on the bed. Go change and relax. Once you get that done, we can sit down and have a conversation. If you want to talk about how your day was going, this and like genuinely whatever. Say, because if women want to be traditional, which is the fight of the world, because they talk about like, oh, I'm not no man's slave. But you understand that man went to work out for you, his woman. He went to work out for you to give you a lifestyle. Now, put it with this. Let's add kids into the equation. If the kids are in school, you are not telling me that you are working at home 8 hours a day or plus with kids at school. Because this is one of the things I say. If your house is clean, it shouldn't be no problem. Why I say this? Because after your house is clean, all it needs to be is maintained clean.
Right.
And that doesn't take long. And especially if you teach your kids how to maintain themselves and their areas according to the rules of the house. Make sure that you use the dish, you wash the dish. Make sure you make up your bed in the morning. Make sure that room is clean. Make sure your stuff is done. Your clothes, put them in the dirty basket so we can do clothes maybe once or twice a week, if anything. Women don't wash clothes 7 days a week. Women don't have to sit down and wash dishes 7 days a week, because as the kids get older, that's something that they're supposed to be learning, and they're supposed to take over those chores, giving the mom more freedom, the dad more peace of mind, so she can do her womanly duties and tend to that man emotionally, physically, and everything else, so he can in response give her whatever she wants. Take her out on dates, bring her flowers, something, caress on her, this, that, and the third, and just give her all the attention in the world. But if that man walks through that door and the first thing she hears is, listen, little Jimmy did not do this, and you gotta go talk to little Becky, and you need to do this, and you need to do that because you haven't done this, and you don't take out the trash, and why your shoes are in the front, and you don't put them in the closet. Who wants to deal with that?
Bro, just you saying that right now just brought me PTSD, bro, of the past relationship. Just got me aggravated.
So this was a conversation I had with a pretty big Christian man. He was very devout, and he had a conversation with me about who was supposed to be the bad guy in the household, who was the disciplinarian in the household, and what they ended up doing, and I really appreciate this, is they decided when we're out and about, the guy is the disciplinarian.
Of course, as a male figure.
Right, like, so, and so it wasn't, oh, dad is always the bad guy versus mom is always the good guy, or vice versa, right? Like, it should be split. Like, and that's a part that really confuses me is about this modern dating and mental health thing of, like, talk about equality, but they don't want equality. They want the burden of proof to be on the other side. And so, like, one of the big quote that comes up a lot on TikTok and YouTube was, if a man is treating me right, my divine feminism comes out. So why is it always divine feminism and always toxic masculinity?
Masculinity, toxic, which is not even a thing. There's not such a thing as male toxicity or masculine toxicity or feminine toxicity. There's just female and males that are toxic.
Right. So, like, what are you supposed to do? I'm supposed to supply all this work and effort, and it sounds like y'all don't want to do anything, like, based off the vast majority of the messages out there, and there's just enough counter push on it that it becomes hard, because it doesn't matter what you do. You're in a losing battle.
Yep.
Right, like, the conversation, oh, we want men to open up and be vulnerable to us. But here's, there was 3 videos I watched just before having this meeting with y'all of the guy cried on his wedding night, and I got the ick.
Yes.
It's a day that should have been one of the few times you're allowed to be emotional: the death of your parents and getting married. And
the birth of your child, if anything. That's a handful, but I get what you're saying.
And so here's a very significant portion of the man's life. And you get between, oh, if he doesn't cry, I would feel less of him. Oh, if he does cry, you're just like, what am I supposed to do? There's no winning here. It's just like paying the bills that I talked about earlier of, like, if I pay for the dinner, I'm an asshole. If I don't pay for the dinner, I'm an asshole. So why should I even bother?
Exactly. It's a lose-lose situation. Yeah. They have this far-fetched, like, view of what a stoic man is. Just because you were stoic and you stand your ground and you stay calm, cool, and collected through situation, don't mean that you don't feel at all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's where the stoic figure of a man and the femininity of a woman, which it's like a man should be perfectly fine to be strong for the face of the world and be able to be as soft as a feather in the hands of a woman.
Right.
No, the sad part is, though, when a man does show his vulnerable side. Unfortunately,
he gets criticized.
It gets criticized, or if you like, and women, I've heard a lot of women say, "Oh, no, that would never happen." And there's a very few women that it happens to, but women can't really deny, oh, if you see your man cry. And there was actually a guy who went around and asked this question, and the answers were just atrocious. But when a woman sees a man's cry, it's one of those things where it changes their opinion of the man. Unless
they said they lose respect for them and stuff like that. It's just
unless they're one of the smart women who understand that men have feelings, which is very rare for the women. There are women who do understand, hey, he's allowed to, and they understand it, and it doesn't change their mind on him. But it's a very rare thing. And the guy went around asking, and the women were like, he's like, what would you do if your man cried? And most of them were like, I'd leave him. I lose respect for him. It's like I got lucky. I think I've done it once when my grandfather died, and it has not changed anything when it comes to my girl. Luckily, it's because she understands, men have just because we're men does not mean we don't have feelings, and this leads to this kind of question, which I know you guys can piggyback off of is it fair to expect men to be emotionally available while also conforming to traditional masculine norms?
It's a trap. Right.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I was about to say that because is Matt crazy? I'm gonna let him explain. But just a little nugget here is the threshold where man shows feelings is so deep that when he actually expresses emotions, he's carrying so much weight, but they never see that. But they're quick to criticize it though. Mm-hmm. Go Fishback. Say what you need to say.
Ooh. So the first couple of years I got out of the military, I was very tight-lipped about what happened because there's a lot of stuff that happened. But and then as I started going, this is only hurting me to keep quiet about it. I started talking about it. I started being open about it so that there was no secret. And then the amount of people, and Enrique can confirm it, who went out and went, well, you told me this, that, and the other thing. I'm going to use this against you. He's like, how are you going to use it to me? Everyone knows. Everyone knows I was a soldier. Everyone knows that I did these horrendous things to live. So how can you use it against me? But the amount of times that people tried to was large. You can't say anything without someone then going, well, you burdened me with your life. Oh, okay, you told me to talk about it. Now you're telling me I'm a burden?
Mm-hmm.
That I'm only around because I'm useful? And so it becomes really difficult. And then on top of that, if you show softness, you show kindness, you show that I want to uplift the downtrodden into happiness. Like I said, I dealt with a lot of Boys and Girls Club in the haunted house community. I gave them a place to stay. I played D&D with them. I ran a lot of stuff for them. And the amount of times I was called a teddy bear. Right? Like, okay, so I'm a teddy bear with, back then my beard was down to here.
Yeah.
and going, I've dealt with survival and war on 6 continents. People have tried to kill me on 6 continents and 26 countries out of the 29 I've now visited. And I'm a teddy bear. And trying to explain to them, the amount of disrespect that's saying, oh, you're a teddy bear, we don't feel any threat from you, versus I feel comfortable in your presence. Right? The difference between that is the perception and the way it gets said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Facts.
It's crazy, bro. It's crazy the amount of stuff that they don't see that we men goes through in our respective lives. Because something, I cannot put myself in Fishback's shoes. I cannot put myself in Poetic shoes. I can only put myself in my shoes and what I experienced. But and this is one of the crazy things about it though, that when we are supposed to be able to comfort on women or our partners for that matter, it's a lot easier for us to comfort on other men, because even though we don't walk on each other's shoes, we understand the walk.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? We understand the walk, and we can relate. I'm like, yo, it's different, but I know the feeling. And we can comfort one another into that, and that's why sometimes I think even the Bible said it, iron sharpens iron.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's some things that eventually is going to happen where a man can only be the one that comforts another man. And that's why I say to myself that friendship with another male is beyond precious to me. But and that's why I become very selective to find friends. I'm not one that have plenty of friends, but I know that for a fact that this man that I chose to be a friend with, brothers from different bloodlines, understand me more than plenty of females, and even more that some families that will only be, they will only look at your face and tell you like, man, that's nothing. Just keep on moving. Like this, like brush that stuff off your shoulder. And I'm like, do you know the weight I'm carrying is not? It's too much for myself, and you not even have the decency to like have an empathy to say, hey, I understand, what I'm saying, that here's a shoulder, we can talk. I might not be able to provide, a solid solution, but at least I'm here for you to like be able to release the stress of your mind, so you can continue to do the stuff that you keep doing. Because sometimes it's not what you can give, but sometimes it's how much you can listen and understand.
Mm-hmm.
That little bit of support, what I'm saying, that little bit of grace that we can give one another, so we can come and grab our package again and just keep on moving on this little road called life.
So there's a couple quotes that really impacted me that came to mind. One of them was, "A man cannot be propped up by another, but another man can lighten the burden long enough for him to get to his feet." Right? The idea is, I'm not here to keep you upright, but I give you enough time to strengthen your own legs.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the struggles that I really went through with, well, still going through. Of, hey guys, I'm going through a hard time. I'm very much a death-seeking person. I don't want to live. Here's something you guys can do for me. I would love the burden to be lightened by someone go ahead and take and run the next D&D game. Right? Like, instead of me having to run it on top of everything else I'm going through, can someone else take point and take care of that for me? Like, it's a relatively small thing, but the amount of people who go, no, if you're not taking care of it, we're going to let it fall apart. Right? Like, it doesn't take much support for a guy to endure.
Yeah.
Most people aren't willing to even take steps.
Yeah, because it looks insignificant, but to you it means the world, because of the simple fact that, it's like that load, that burden of that load is just like, hey, it might look small to you, but it means the world to me, and it's just enough so I can get up, dust myself off, and keep on moving.
Right. Nope, forgot it. But, the compliment thing. I remember being told in Korea by another guy, "Oh, you are a very handsome man," and we're like,
golly gee.
Well, like, that was one of the first compliments I ever got at 23. I literally had a full-on panic attack at 19 because I was giving a brief to my NCO and a general who came through training at the time, and I gave a phrase, and he told me, "You did wonderfully. Pass off your notes. Someone else is going to finish." And it was the first time outside of my family I had gotten a compliment, and it was enough to give me a full-on panic attack, and like.
Completely unexpected and just caught you sideways.
Yeah.
I've told Enrique this. Like, the fact that Enrique actually says good things to me about me to other people, like, I've never had that before in a friendship. And
like I always tell him, and like you guys are my close friends. Like I trust you guys with my lives. You guys are my brothers. And what I always tell people, and you guys know this, is the way I was brought up. And my dad said there are no. That was weird. Was that me?
That was my door alarm because they let the dog out.
It threw me off for a second. My bad, y'all. My bad. It threw me off. So what I was always told was, I think
It's funny
it
how
sounded so clear. It sounded so clear. I was like, wait, is that me? Okay, so what I've always told people is like, and I live by this. Like, I'm a very blunt person. I'm a very, very blunt person. But like the way I live my life is, my dad always said, there's no such thing as friends. A friend is $1 in the pocket. When I'm going to peso over, which means friends are only there when it comes to money. But when you find people who actually care, they're not friends. They're family.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things when it comes to men, I would always tell people, I'm like, look, if you're going to get to know me, we're friends. I'm blunt. We can be friends. I'm going to be blunt. I'm going to be there when you need me. But if it's not vice versa, we're not going to be friends. I will consider you an acquaintance. I will tell you to your face. But the biggest thing I tell people is, if you're real friends and you really trust them and they're your real friends, for me personally, I consider friends people who I talk shit to their face and I praise them behind their back. Because by doing that, no matter how bad the situation is, if I can't come to you and tell you, then that means there's this level of trust that is not there. And how can we be friends if I can't be honest with you and you can't reciprocate by answering it in an appropriate manner? You might hate what I tell you, but you understand that I'm doing it for your well-being and because I care about you. So I'm going to talk that shit to your face, whether it's good or not. And then I'm going to praise you behind your back so that you know I've never and I will never talk shit about you. I will only say good things. Because that's the way a friendship should be. If there's an issue, we deal with it. If there's no issue, we have fun, we enjoy life, we move on, we go crazy, we do stupid shit, and there you go. But that's how I always tell people, if you're going to live a life, this is how you should live it, because that's who you will know who are your true friends, who are your family, not friends.
And is beyond, and the keywords that you use that I think is key to friendship is trust and reciprocity.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? When you can reciprocate back to that same person the exact same, trust and honesty that they're giving you, like, whether, if you're doing something wrong, you expect your friend to tell you, hey, you're fucking up. Stop. Cut it out. That's only going to hurt you, and it's going to hurt this friendship, and it's going to hurt others. Stop it. It's telling you this because I love you and I care for you. So, if you treat somebody that way and they can't treat you back the same way, and they sit on the sidelines and let people just run your name to the ground, and they see you doing bad and they just stay at arm's length and be like, oh no, that's not my life, that's his business, so I'm not going to jump into that, then that's not a friend. That's just a leech stuck to you trying to get all the benefits of a friend but not giving anything back. So between trust and reciprocity, that's where friendship truly begins.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And so what are some misconceptions about men's mental health that need to be addressed?
That they think that we are freaking strong like Iron Man or something that we cannot break down. You know something, now that I just said that, it just kind of brought it to me. If y'all saw all the Avengers movies, right?
Yeah.
With all the Iron Mans and Thors and stuff in between that. You saw how Tony Stark started. And towards the last movie, when Doctor Strange told him that there was only one outcome where they were going to win, he was not going to tell Tony, because that might have changed the outcome of the situation. But throughout the whole Avengers universe series type of thing, the fact of the matter that this guy saw everything that he was doing and how he started being arrogant and like selfish, and the fact that at the end he put the weight of the world literally on his hands and was able to give his life for those who he knew and he didn't know, just for like a better future, is crazy. And that's how we men act. We might see in a certain way to something, but as time progresses, we grow and develop. And if we care, we'll take the weight of the world on our backs just so y'all can smile one more time. Yeah. And that's where the misconceptions start, because they think that we are just made out of steel and we cannot break. How, like, you saw how heartbroken this dude was. Like, say like the weight of that final decision where he had to make the snap when he was like I am Iron Man type of thing. Bro, that was incredible weight. Like mentally, bro. Like I'm about to do this to change the world, but then it's like, would you actually do it if you was in that situation?
Yeah. Oh. What do you think, Fish?
So, I remember when I first got out of the military, I went to Bellevue Community College, which is not a community college anymore, it's just Bellevue College, because they have some bachelor's degrees now. But they gotta ask the question if you would you sacrifice yourself to save the world? Yes or no? Follow-up question: would you sacrifice yourself if you knew that your worst enemy would get credit for saving the world? And I tried to explain to these, because most of them were high school students taking college credits, and then the English professor there was a philosophy teacher. That it takes a person with a broken sense of self to go ahead of time. If this is going to happen, I'm going to sacrifice myself for that life. Not in the heat of the moment, I throw myself in the way of the bullet. I know this person's life is worth more than mine, so if XYZ happens, I'm going to do it. You've determined the value of your life versus that person's life, and you determined that was worth more.
Yeah.
And the amount of guys who've made that decision ahead of time about their families, about who they love, about so much weight of the world is huge. The Jews have a saying, I ask not for a lighter weight, I ask for broader shoulders.
Yeah.
Give me more weight, more responsibilities, but give me what I can give me the strength to deal with it.
Yeah.
And that is the mentality of the vast majority of quote unquote good men that I've met. Of what can I do more to help my family, my friends, at the cost of myself? And at some point, it gets really difficult. I've done all of this, and I'm a secondary. I'm a this, I'm a that, and a lot of men just continue living their entire lives that way until they break down, until they're done, and like where is that middle ground of like, how do we recover? How do we heal while continue to be a purpose? Because after a while, it becomes a bittering moment.
Yeah.
Well, they did a few guys did a social media experiment on TikTok and whatnot, and they basically went around with flowers, handing them to guys, and some guys were like shocked and like, wait, what the hell? And then some guys were like, no, I don't take flowers, I'm not. And then he's like, why are you giving it to me? Well, I'll give it to my girl. He's like, no, it's for you. And then some of the guys were like, well, what do you mean for me? I don't take flowers. He's like, because, and the thing he quoted was, most men don't get their flowers until their funeral.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where, and then the few tough guys took it, and they were like, when they realized what he said, they were just like, holy, like, wow, like, oh my gosh. And they were like shocked. And then the other guys, and they were shocked, they took it and they said thank you. And then the other guy, there's a few guys who ended up, they ended up what do you call it? They ended up like breaking down. And it's because men's mental health doesn't really, it doesn't get treated properly. So when it comes to that, misconceptions about men's mental health is that, oh, we're so tough, we don't have feelings, blah blah. Women realize, some women say, oh, men do have feelings, they don't want to show it. It's not that we don't want to show it, it's that if it is shown, if it's not brought back upon us, it's one of those things where we're supposed to be tough and we're taught about that. So because of that, it's looked down upon us to be weaker than what we are. But the thing is, we're men, we have feelings. It's just to show them shows vulnerability, and we want to make sure we're not vulnerable, because if we're vulnerable, we don't know what can come attack us at any time, whether it's mentally, physically, whatever it may be. But showing that it shouldn't make you look like less of a man, but unfortunately, because of how we're perceived, it is. And when we do show something, this is why women don't understand that when we're playing Call of Duty and all these crazy games and gaming and stuff, and we're bullshit talking with the men, and we're like, oh, you you effing this, you effing that. We're talking back and forth, and we're talking shit to each other. I could do that in a lobby with someone and not know who they are, and not a clue. We're talking shit back and forth, and next thing you know, 5 minutes later, we're friends. We know we're acquaintances, we're friends, or whatever. And I did that with one of my best friends. I met him on Call of Duty. We started talking shit. He said, "I'll beat your ass." Blah 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 blah. We're just BSing like we do on gaming. And next thing you know, it's been since 2012. We've been friends, and he's a good friend of mine. He's an awesome dude. He's a funny dude. I've been his best man at his wedding, and just different things. And it was one of those where it's men confide in men because men understand it's okay to be vulnerable with each other because we understand each other. I can be vulnerable with you guys because I understand that you guys won't judge me because you guys have experienced it. You guys understand the toll, the amount of weight on our shoulders that we have, that it's difficult. So we're able to confide in each other and know, hey, we're not gonna make fun of each other in a bad way. Like, and we understand tones too. Like if you're telling me something deep, I know, okay, you know what? I know how far to stay deep and just listen nonstop, but actually hear. But, when there may be a time to try to make it lighter, but in a good way. Because there's so I've heard women, my wife has heard it. She's like, why so-and-so was telling you this? And then, you guys were this, and this, and all of a sudden you made a joke like, you can't get this, whatever it is because, you're an asshole because of this. Something stupid that's cheesy, but but the men understand, it's not that you're making fun of me. You're trying to help me cheer up, and you're also saying, hey, and then it's just men, we have a language.
Yeah, it's a form of a banter. Sometimes we just go on that, we just banter and we just talk trash to one another or whatever now. But it's not with the intent of degrading or just throwing it through the mud. It's just to I don't know. It's kind of I would say it's something primal. If anything, it's just kind of it's not rough. Let's put it over. That's an adult version of rough.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. It's an adult version of rough housing where we just talk shit without actually having any meaning behind it. You know what I'm saying? Because we do it. When me and you sit down and talk about, we just start shooting shit. I just start talking about your DNA stuff with that. You find out that you are, 65% Hispaniard, but then you want to be.
First of all, it's lower. Let's lower that shit, okay, bitch? Let's lower that shit.
It's exactly like how. But you see what I'm saying? It's just that. I know what it is, but then I just throw some random number just to kind of light up the mood, and then just make fun of it because it said he's a great advocate for Puerto Rican treatment and so forth and so on. So now when he found out that he had Spaniard, which is responsible for all the misfortune of the Puerto Ricans, then I'm like, oh, gotcha. But but I understand. I'm saying I'm not gonna sit down and just drag it through the mud. It's just kind of to light up the mood. But whenever he's not feeling good, I'm able to understand that at that point, and there's no jokes in between that, and there's no banter. It's just straight to the point. And we understand the situations. That's how we act.
Yeah, it is very interesting because that was something that came up this last weekend too. Of my dad would find the things that I was most sensitive about and make jokes of it. I used to get beaten every time that I would try to sing, and so by the time that I would get out of the military, I would sing karaoke. I would if I was in a really good mood, I would sing.
By the way, real quick, he is hella fun to go drinking with when he's doing karaoke. I will applaud you. I have no balls when it comes to going on the stage to go sing. This dude gets his balls, puts them right there on the table, and says, "I'm singing." That's it.
I literally do karaoke as an FU to all the people who told me I wasn't allowed to sing as growing up. But and trying to explain that my dad, to my dad, hey man, I know the way that you were raised, but this isn't the fun banter that we're having. This is you're targeting the hurtful things.
Mm-hmm.
My dad, because I look so much different than the rest of my siblings. All the rest of my siblings are tall and skinny, and I'm stout and pretty fat. Unless I work
I want to be as fat as you are.
Let's be serious. Every family have the ugly duckling at some point.
Whoa. I might be big, but I'm sexy as fuck.
but he used to joke I was adopted.
Oh shit.
And he doesn't even remember making this joke, even though he's made it like 10 times.
That was that. I can identify with that. To my family, I'm the lightest one, and everybody used to tell me, bro. Until today's date, just a couple days ago, I went to my mom's house because we have the girls' graduation party.
Yeah,
and they did that. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, he's the adopted one because he's the lightest skinned one. I mean, I don't take it any type of way or whatever. You know, I understand or whatever. You know, the whole joke behind the whole situation. But I understand where you're coming from because at some point in time when I was younger and I didn't really understand it,
right.
that will hit you. Wait, that's a hit below the belt.
But like when you're a teenager and all those hormones and all those emotions are flowing, you're like,
Yeah,
I've done everything I could to be a loyal son, and here's this joke.
yeah, that's a hit below the waist.
Right, and so like those comments that just off the cuff, that you're expected to do all this service and be the punching bag, and what do you do, right? Like how do you deal with that? And a lot of the answer is
Man up.
you man up, right? Like, and so you it's the hard bit of how do I be gentle with those that need to be gentle while being strong enough to face the entirety of the world, because you're not expected to have allies. It's nice if you do, but you're not expected to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like my youngest brother explained to me is like when I came back from the military, and that he's using a bit of flowery language, but he explained to it, it's like a God came down to earth is the verbiage he used. And even as you would express your emotions and your hardship, it's as if you were trying to be one of the people. And you go, okay, how do I live up to that? Well, how do I continue being this strong presence that is trying to overcome his weaknesses without being weak?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how do you do that? Because you need to deal with the trauma. You need to deal with this hardship. How do you do that while still presenting strength within that?
Yeah, but see, this is where people have they miss when it comes out to the strength. Is not the lack of weakness. Strength is the overcoming of weakness after a trial. Because I'm not even going to call it a failure. Because when you fail is when you stop getting up and moving.
Yeah.
Well, after you go to a trial, after you go through a situation, and you could and you struggle with it, that's what constitutes strength. Because while you get, it's like going to the gym. If you go to the gym for the first time, you're not strong, you're weak. So what do you go do in the gym? To work out your weakness so you can become strong and do more weight. So you can become strong and be buffier. So you can become strong and be a lot more fit. You work through your weaknesses. But people want to sit down here like, oh my God, if you show this, no, it is not, bro. Strength is not the lack of weakness. It's the fact that I am working through my weakness to become better.
Right. Right. And so you have to do all that while still moving forward, right? Like you don't get to rest during this. And
we don't get a chance to. We don't get a chance to. I mean, that's life.
Right. And so that I think that's the hardest bit of the men versus women argument and children versus adults argument of when do you get to rest?
Yeah.
When someone goes, I'm going to take 5 pounds off of your 40-pound pack. Not, I'm going to take the whole of the 40 pounds. I'm going to take a little bit off.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody is willing to even, I mean, there's not that nobody, but there's very few and far in between people that is willing to take a pound off. A pound.
Right.
Out of 100-pound life situation that you got to carry. Some other got to carry a lot more. And I commend those that do a lot more and carry a lot more. I'm like, when I see people like that, especially like people like Don, saying that's a man that he developed. He was normal at one point in time, but then he developed muscle dystrophy, and then he he was an athlete, so I know to him that was a big struggle because now he can't do the same things he used to do. And the fact that that man can stand up and tell people and encourage people and motivate people to do better for themselves as he
Yep.
struggled with his own life to
Yep.
become better.
Yeah,
That's strength that you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's strength that I don't have.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been on those shoes. You know what I'm saying? You being in the military and done the stuff that you do, and you still sitting down here right now, having this interview with us. That's strength that I don't have because I haven't gone through that. So I don't know what is to have that type of strength.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You know, Enrique's gone through stuff that I know myself that I would have been put in that situation. I wouldn't be able to handle. That strength I don't have. So my job as a friend is to encourage, make sure that I can take a pound off the 99.
And it's surprisingly how much impact just taking that 1 pound off makes.
Exactly.
In training, we did the 12-mile rock march at the end of basic training. You do 12-mile rock march with 35 pounds. And the idea is you do that in 3 hours, so 4 miles an hour is the standard. And I got to probably mile 9 or 10, and then there was this kid from Tennessee that allowed me and one other person to grab onto the strap of his backpack. And he helped drag us along. And that was all the difference it took to make sure that we succeeded. Was I got to grab onto the strap of his backpack, and he gave a little extra push to us going uphill. It doesn't take a lot, but the memory of that impacts a man forever.
Yeah. And it's sad that a lot of people overlook it.
And that's the thing.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Now you're saying it's just so sad that people just sit down and overlook it, and not to sit down and bash on it, but they make this a habitual thing nowadays, where they undermine the struggles and the difficulties that we have to go on a day-to-day basis because of their lack of comfort. Where some of them, if not many of them, have little to have struggle, and some of the struggles that they put themselves into because they took that same man that was being their foundation out of their structure.
Right.
And that's the one that I've noticed with, and this is not just, I mean, this could be people in general, but a very big thing I've noticed with women, and this is, it's men's mental health, and a lot of men normally has to do, if you have a relationship, you understand this. But in general, I've dealt with only very few times in relationships, not often. But what women don't realize when it comes to men's mental health is like, there's times when, like you were saying before, when things are overlooked. Like, I have OCD and ADHD, so like there's things for me that, like, if it's brought up or things that are done, if it's not completed in that certain way, especially as of late, it's been even worse. Where it's like for them, like I remember one time I was told, like, oh, it's not that serious. It's not that serious. Just we can just do that. I'll just do this and this. I was like, for you, it's not that serious, but I literally cannot stop. Now that you like, I remember actually this happened a few days ago. Wife was asking for this drink, but I had it for a recipe, and I'm like, and she's like, "Can I have this?" I'm like, "Are you serious?" She's like, "Are you using it for anything?" I was like, "Yeah, the recipe. You were there with me." Now, mind you, it's not her fault. She was asking a simple question. I can go to the store, buy a new one. But then I was like, I'm like, it's a recipe. She said, "Oh, well, then I'll go to the store." I was like, "No, you can have it." She said, "No, I'm like, no." She's like, "It's not that serious." I was like, "No, this for you, it's not. But for me, it's the simple fact you already asked it. Now that it's asked, it's done. Now I have to get another one because I know you want this, and it's something I want to be able to, like, oh, it's whatever." But it's the littlest details, especially when you plan stuff to a point, can do. Now, it's not the fact that she wanted the soda, anything like that. It's the fact of it's not that serious. It's like what's not serious, and this is just in general. For it could be for me with you guys with me. It's when you tell someone that, you're telling them, hey, what you're worried about is not that serious. But this is the thing. You don't know what they're going through in life. So for you to assume it's not that serious is ridiculous. Because if you want them to take you seriously,
Yeah,
you need
it's
to take them
just
seriously.
it's plain disrespectful to assume that your what you consider serious is not serious in their own eyes.
Like Sheldon on Big Bang Theory, he was talking to Penny about they were like, oh, let's divulge some stuff to each other, and she told him something secretive and like crazy, and then he told her, I don't like that my underwears or something like this, blah blah blah, had like this, and she's like, well, if you're not gonna take it serious, then I'm just gonna leave. And he's like, how dare you? And she's like, what? He's like, what you assume to be serious to you, what you might think is not that serious to you is serious to me. This actually bothers me. This is actually how I feel. And she's like,
Exactly.
oh, I'm sorry. It's like the overlook that some people can have. That's why, like, I'm not perfect. I've done that once or twice in life, but it's one of those things where you have to learn from it, understand it might not be that serious, but for someone else, you don't know their mental health, male or female, so you can't say it's not that serious because guess what? You don't know what they value as serious.
I mean, it's a level of disconnect that sometimes happen between people that is just people's not willing to understand one another. Everything becomes me, and only me kind of situation. But yeah,
another really, really hard part, and I know me and Enrique struggle with this one a lot, is regardless of what is happening, you have to go into it assuming that is not enemy action. It's just a misunderstanding of culture and experience.
Yep.
That whatever is happening, that the other guy isn't there to screw you, regardless of however it looks, that you have to bring it up. Hey man, like, this is what it looks like. This is what I'm feeling of it. Mm-hmm. I know you're not likely trying to screw me over, but this is what it looks like. Please use your words and like tell me why you're trying to push this agenda.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that is a really, really hard one for anyone, regardless of what background they come from.
Facts.
But
Facts.
I'm really curious of you two coming from, an immigrant background and a semi-immigrant.
Yeah, I know. That would be semi-immigrant.
U.S. citizen, sir. You were born in the soil of the U.S. of A, sir. You are not.
Hey, you've been here longer than you've been in Panama, bitch. Okay.
No, I mean Puerto Rican, right? Like Puerto Ricans, like, they're kind of American.
It's semi. Yeah.
He's not Puerto Rican. He's American with
That's
Puerto Rican.
Crazy.
He's American with Puerto Rican descent. That's all.
Well,
you're American with Panamanian descent, bitch. You've been here longer than Panama.
I was born and raised in Panama, so sorry, you did it.
But
that vary quite a bit depending, because I've had probably 12 or 13 different Puerto Rican warrant officers and NCOs while I was in the military, and like the feelings of that is hugely different.
Oh yeah.
Right? And you coming from Panama, who had a bunch of other things going on, and like you're a major shipping hub, and so you deal with a lot of different cultures. How does it feel from what you experience from your homelands versus America, and like the Latino in general experience of mental health to the modern day? Because like us growing up, having lived through the 90s and the early 2000s, it's night and day difference of the lived experience between those in their 30s and those in their 20s.
Yeah. We actually had a conversation about on one of our episodes. I don't think we put it up yet. About like Latino mental health and the difference of what it is. I know growing up, and I think this is for men in general, but very, very more highly prone for Hispanic and minority men in general, Black, Spanish, Indian, but especially Black and Hispanic. I know for a fact, men's mental health is not
non-existent.
It's non-existent. If you have an issue,
me growing in Panama, I went through so much trauma between like my mom and my dad getting, going through divorce and all this sort of stuff. Never. If I went to a therapist literally for maybe a month or so, out of my 17 years, and they didn't fix jack because they didn't know how to address me. Like
Mhm.
I was in a way smart enough and stupid enough to not be honest with them about how I truly felt. That they said there's no problem with him, and I just kept going because I was under the impression that as you're born with a penis and you will become and you are a man, you cannot, like we were talking before, express or show any type of weakness or any type of softness, that you have to be strong at any given point in time. You only cry to yourself in the shower and don't let nobody else know that shit.
Now, here's a question: Did your family know at that time that you were going to therapy?
My mama put me through it, but it ain't
Okay,
last too long.
that's surprising for me because, like, and as you know, like, especially with Hispanic people, therapy is not
You
considered something you go to.
wait. Nah, I don't want to give you high hopes.
Well,
You
no, I'm
know
saying
why? You
you
know
don't
why I
necessarily
went to
go to
therapy?
it to a point. Well,
I no, it was so bad. It was so bad. I bit somebody's ear off in middle school
holy shit!
because I was so fed up with people just getting on my nerves, and I was just going through this mental hell that this kid just pushed the wrong button at the right time,
Yeah.
and I bit part of his ear.
Yeah.
And that's the reason, because the school was going to I was going to get expelled if I didn't go through some mental assistance or whatever, and they sent me to this psychologist or therapist or whatever the hell he was at the time. And then he just kept talking about like your inner child and your inner adult, like that like, and in my mind I'm like, shut that stupid stuff out of my face, bro. Talk
Right.
about
So now,
inner
a question:
child.
had you not done that, is normally is therapy something you're like? Because in my opinion, I think I know what you're gonna say, but like, besides something extreme, is that something that your mom would have thought of is going to therapy? Because like I said, most Hispanics, there's actually on I think it's called Better Like as a channel. It's a Hispanic channel. They talk about different things, and one of them was mental health and how, like, growing up, your family just, you don't, oh, you're gonna go see a therapist, what's wrong with you, blah blah blah. Therapist was considered very down upon, unless it was something extreme.
It was just for
You're
crazy.
not
It
supposed
was
to
it
get
was just
therapy.
referred for crazy people. Like if you went to see a
Yeah,
psychologist
thank you.
or a psychiatrist or a therapist, there was something extremely wrong with you.
Yeah,
And nobody in the Hispanic family wanted that happening, because you automatically will be labeled by the community itself as, oh, there goes that crazy kid over there because he's seen
yep.
a mental doctor.
And
Seeing the
same way in the white guys community too. Only the only difference is that I've kind of sidestepped a lot of it because I have Asperger's, because I don't fit in with a lot of things. I present myself as this, the way people have described it, as a bastion of whatever, who I am. I step in and I plant myself in a position, and so people go, that's Bob, he's doing what he does, but like I've gone to mental health, I don't know, like 8 or 9 times now, anywhere between 3 weeks to 4 months, and none of it's helped. It's all been really negative. But I keep trying because, like, there's only so much I can grow from myself and from my self reflections, right? Like the amount of times I've gone in and like, oh, we're going to use you as our next set of therapy lessons. We're going to write our thesis off of you,
oh Lord, you became the guinea pig.
right? Like, because like I tried to explain at one point how I don't know how to function when the pain is not there.
Yeah.
Like, I get manic when the pain is not there. I don't know how to deal with it. I don't know how to. I tried to explain. You know, I don't sleep. It's not because of what's going on, but I just don't sleep. And so they want to spend 3 months doing a sleep schedule and this, that, and the other thing. It was like, well, I would really like to talk about the times where I was told to go kill myself, that no one would care if I died. And like, go on a suicide mission because that's all you're good for.
Yeah.
and like, but no, the sleep schedule is more important. It's like, oh,
Oh wow.
or like, I had to explain to one mental health person that I have a really hard time when children scream because I can't tell the difference between when they're happy play screaming and their murder death screaming.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, you have a really hard time when children are laughing. I was like, no. I don't have a hard time when children are laughing. I love it when children laugh. That's the best
Better.
laugh. I have a problem when they scream. And she's like, it's the same. And I had to explain to her like 10
And
different
this came to from a professional?
from a professional with all sort $250.
That screaming and laughing is the same?
I don't understand how she got that. I'm sure there's something.
Oh, you say she. No wonder.
He said this is she that one.
Well, I mean, that's
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like going to a male therapist is smarter for men because men understand.
I've done both. And
But I've had some therapists. I've just recently started going to therapy within the past year, and it's funny because my mom told me years ago, which is shocking to hear from her mouth, was, you should go to therapy to, help you out so you have better, you're able to deal with your any issues that you may have, in terms of your patience and all this stuff a lot easier. So that was shocking to hear that. But I think as time goes, now it's becoming acceptable for Hispanics to go to therapy. Give me 1 second, y'all. I apologize.
Yeah, I think it just become a little bit more
It's more,
it's more noticeable. It's being more exposed,
Yeah.
And I mean, no, it's kind of like an oxymoron, but because of all these wax paper kids or crystal kids that we got now that have all these mental problems going on, mental health has actually boomed.
right.
And
So-
now we grown adults in our 30s and 40s and 50s are able to finally openly go try to help that we've been dealing with for the past 30 plus years in our bags with no one to talk to because it was shone upon a man going to seek some type of mental help because you're supposed to bear it all.
I think that is a great segue into Pride Month stuff. As I vaguely talked about, I went from the Army, very conservative here in Texas, to hanging out with Washington Haunted House Community, which has a very large population of the to put it undelicately, I suppose is the the alphabet changes too fast for me to really keep up with. I'm not meaning to be rude about it, but I just can't keep up. But it was a very interesting shift in how the mental health of men in general and people who went through a lot of really hardship and how the observation has been is that a lot of LGBTQ people,
Alphabet soup people.
the alphabet soup people, right? Want acceptance in life, and they feel that by coming out as gay or trans or whatever the flavor of the month is, they will get that acceptance and support. Now, of course, that's not all of them. Some of them legitimately feel that they're in the wrong body, the wrong mind state. But the vast majority, probably 60-70% that I've met, it felt that we felt that my life was so sucky and so hard that I need to find some way for people to give me support and happiness. And that's kind of what my viewpoint and a lot of them were. Was I want you to support me, and this was the current battle that people are accepting and like giving love to. So here I am. I'm her who's now a they them to a he. And sometimes in a really very fast window. And so it's kind of a weird landmine to try to walk through and try to figure out is like, hey, are you legitimately this? Because like in the early 2000s, it was really popular for women to say they were bi. when they weren't. They were just wanting to be really affectionate and emotional with their friends and not be judged. Uh, so what's been your guys' experiences so far?
Well, when it comes down to the alphabet soup community, is it's a lot. It's different for me because I grew up in a very Christian household. So the whole it's a sin. There's a sin. They're abomination. Yada yada yada. I mean, to me, it does make sense to be honest with you because um, besides that they still people, and I was going to see them as people, but it's like your lifestyle, regardless of being your lifestyle, and that's what you want to do, and you're entitled to do as you want to because you're a human being. Don't mean that I have to agree with your lifestyle. And what happens now is that the alphabet soup community wants to push their lifestyles into our lives and normalize it when and to the point that they're being intrusive into everybody else's personal lives, because now you see it on cartoons that kids are supposed to be watching, and me as a parent shouldn't be able like I shouldn't be have to worry about what my kids want to watch on TV when it comes down to cartoons. But now I have to watch all these other media outlets and the content that they put in, because now everybody wants to sit down and cater to their wants, because gays and lesbians and bis have been here since, like, I don't know, since as far as I remember, what I'm saying, like they have gay and lesbians. But they were not with like on this validation seeking journey. Like, look at me, I am gay and this, that, and the third or whatever not. Like I had people that I know and I was in, like, I had good relations with, like, they were homosexual or lesbian or whatever. And we never like sit down and fight and like, oh, you are disgusting. No, bro, if you're a human, I'm a human. We can have a regular conversation. Now, when it comes down to your sexual orientation and your sexual preferences, that's your business. You do that on your own time. Just don't bring it up to me and act like that stuff is for me to be just accepting. Like, I'm not gonna sit down and just accept your way of life because you don't like something I like to do for whatever reason may be. My religious views or my beliefs. If you don't like them, you wouldn't like people to be pushing it on you, right? Okay. So in the same matter, I think I deserve the respect that you do not impose your sexual beliefs and tendencies up to me and my kids. But they have this agenda that they just want to push forward this whole, like, look at me, I'm gay and I'm lesbian and I'm queer and I'm this and I'm the other. And I'm all these spectrums of sexuality that don't exist, and just bombard people with this stuff. Like, at one point in time, I saw a video that they have a alphabet soup alphabet book that explain every letter of the alphabet into a LGBTQ way of life. And to me, that people sit down and want to talk about people grooming, that is grooming your kids. Because if you were trying to impose to a kid that has no notion of what sexuality and your gender dysphoria like entails, why in the heck am I gonna introduce that to a kid that has no notion of that? He just knows that he's a kid and he's about to learn the alphabet, but yet you want to use words that are sexually explicit, because let's be serious. The alphabet community is about sexual preferences.
Right.
So why in the heck am I not in?
As a man, how does that, as a man and as a father of a daughter, how does that affect like mental health.
That is stressful enough as it is to live life and do what you need to do as a man on a regular basis, and to add like that level of stress is taxing, if anything, because now you have to have another layer of protection into what they're about to sit down and consume, because it's not just what they see at home, because remember, they don't live home 24/7. Now they're going to elementary school, middle school, high school, universities, college, all these other places, and they get bombarded with all these other people's ideologies about their sexual preferences. And if you don't agree with them, you are homophobic, you are transphobic, you are phobic this, you are phobic that, you are phobic of everything. But because they don't want to acknowledge the fact that I don't need to entertain and acknowledge your lifestyle. I acknowledge you as a person and I respect you as a person. But don't tell me that I have to call you X, Y, and Z because that's how you want to identify.
Mm-hmm.
Your identity is for yourself. I call what I see. If I see a woman standing in front of me, I'm going to call you ma'am. I'm going to call you miss. I'm going to call you whatever. If I see a man, I will call you sir. Because even if you cut your breast and implant a male part, or you remove your male parts and want to create a fake vagina and put boobs on you, you're still going to have male traits.
So that's actually one of the reasons my older brother and his kids moved from Washington State to Texas. It was not required by the state of Washington for the school board to inform you if they put your kid on antidepressants, if they put your kid on hormones, transition hormones. If your kid
school
was not
that's crazy.
That's insane.
If your kid ran away, it was not required for the state to tell you if they picked them up. The state had to report it to somebody within the state, but they didn't have to report it to you. So you weren't even told if hey, look, we picked up your kid. They ran away.
But if my kid don't go to school for a week straight, you want to send DCF to my house.
If it's negative, it's your fault. If it's positive for the kid, it's not on you. So another part of it was the child, by the time they were 13 or 14, was allowed to make full medical decisions for themselves.
Pause there. If a kid that is wait. You've been in the military. Pay attention to this. I'm gonna tell you this, and I say that a lot to people. If somebody can get drafted at 18, get his leg blown the hell off, come back home, a veteran, watches this, and go to a bar or a liquor store, he cannot buy a bottle because he's not 21.
Yep.
Yet you want a 13-year-old or 12-year-old or 14-year-old or somebody that is under the age of 18 to make a medical decision about their gender dysphoria to change or transition to something else. Yep. But then what happens, and I've seen some videos about some of the people in that community that regretted the change, is that later on in life, when your emotions and your mind starts to kind of like become an adult, then you regret the decisions you make as a stupid teenager, and then there's not reversible.
Right. There is so, like they say, it's such a small number who regret their transition. But I've personally seen enough cases that it goes, hey, look, it may be a small percentage, but
it's a small community to begin with, so a small percentage, what? It's still a big number.
Why is a small percentage of a community forcing upon the greater decisions upon the majority? That's not a democracy. That is not even a representative republic like we are here in the United States. We're not a democracy. We're a republic.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're going against both. Right? Like here's the tyranny of the minority. So you're being South American. Or South Africa. of which it is the minority ruling the greater majority. And we're going to take everything from the from the majority to give it to the minority, and watch as everything collapses.
Yep.
Because kind of, unfortunately, every time I've seen it in every country, South America, Africa, Asia, it's fallen apart. And I see it happening now. I saw it during the Black Lives Matter movement. And most people don't realize how close to complete collapse the U.S. came. And it's not because of what's being pushed, it's how it's being pushed.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there was a great quote in Taken? No, John Wick film. Whatever the latest John Wick series is. There's 3 or 4 of them now.
Yeah.
It's not what you did that upsets me, son. It's who you did it to. Right? Like, in trying to explain to other people, like, the Doctor Who, the latest Doctor Who, he's a gay, queer man, gay, queer, black man.
I just saw that, yeah.
It's not that he's gay. It's the fact that you call us bigots and monsters for not supporting the show when it's flat out terrible. It's not that he's black or gay. There was literally 2 episodes completely without the Doctor so far this season. Completely without the Doctor. So is it a Doctor Who episode, but we're supposed to support this? When you made these big changes and tell us terrible things when you don't follow the established lore. Right? Because we went from a generation who had these huge black actors in all sorts of movies, and we're like, man, great, that's awesome. And we had a black Cinderella, and we're like, man, that's cool, that was really good.
Black Little Mermaid.
Right, now we have a Black Little Mermaid, but the difference is how that Little Mermaid is portrayed, right?
Yeah.
When it was Black Cinderella, it's here we want to tell you the story of a Cinderella. Doesn't matter her color.
Yeah.
Here's Cinderella. Oh no, she's black, and we want to make sure that is the primary focus of Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the LGBTQ community.
Now they want to focus on the gender of everything, because right. and I heard the first time I heard this kind of crazy stuff from this animated movies is when they started with Frozen, because now Elsa was this empowered, non-binary whatever, that she didn't need no man, she could do everything for herself. But then you have her sister who actually decided to go get married. So,
right.
What are you talking about?
And that is the beauty of...
You're in this really weird boat where things have shifted so very fast. Just since I got out of the military in 2015 to now, I legitimately am trying to follow along and figure out what's going on, and I just can't keep up. Let alone change whatever my mindset is to whatever the current subset is. Like, I'm trying to be understanding, but you're not even giving us time to.
It's not even that, bro. It's I don't care about conforming to the way of your thinking, because it's like
giving me time to process.
Yeah. But the thing about it is that where I get to is that there's sometimes they try to take this thing way out of context, because now they want to talk about that's not, they sit down and talk about, oh, that's not the sex that I was assigned. That's the sex that I was assigned at birth. Last time I checked, ain't nobody putting babies, like assembling babies like Cabbage Patch Kids. You don't pick the ones you want. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, okay, the soul is of a woman, so now he feels like a woman, so let's assemble a right. No, you were born a male or a female. Now, the fact that your mind is traveling to a different location is different from that. That's why before it was a mental issue, and now it's still a mental issue, but now they want to normalize it and become something that is okay. So the part where I draw the line is that you guys want to do that is fine. After you become an adult, legally an adult, 18 and up, you can do whatever the hell you feel like doing with your body. That's on you. The moment you decide to target kids and underage with all this propaganda is where I draw the line. Because when you go to Walmart, when you go to Target, when you go to Burlington's, and they have all this Pride Month and LGBTQ Recognition Day or month or whatever not, and they sit down and they bombard you with this stuff because the company is afraid that if they don't do it, they will be canceled by the minority, which is the LGBTQ community. And then when actual normal people go ahead and boycott these companies, then they don't know what to do. Be like, well, we cannot please. Exactly my point. As a person, as a company, and as anything in life, you cannot please everybody. You can't please everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like what happened to Budweiser when they tried to do this whole LGBTQ thing with the Budweiser, and they got shut down by regular people because there's more regular people drinking Budweiser than the LGBT community.
Well,
they lost mad money.
They had the trans person do it, and
they lost mad money.
They talked about the female who's in charge of like the marketing, and she was trying to be more.
That's just a spinoff that that's a spinoff that they try to run.
Like,
they just try to please the LGBTQ community. They thought that people was going to sit down and just take it with their hands and knees.
That's why they got like a lot of shit for it, because like
same thing happened with Target.
Well, the people who buy, was it Budweiser the most, are people who do not believe in that. So you're targeting the wrong audience to begin with. Like you're targeting completely the wrong audience. Like if you're gonna be a brand, do yourself properly. Don't try to be woke or please people just because you want to please people, or even if you fully believe it or whatever it is. You got to be proper and according to it. You're reaching people who don't believe in that, who buy that brand. Of course, you're going to see some flack because guess what? They don't believe in it, so you're going to lose money because of that. That's where it's ridiculous. But going on your thing, Fishback, where you said, you're trying to acclimate and catch up as it may to what the different changes are. How does, and this is for all of us, but how does societal pressure influence men's like you or men in general emotional expression, and why I'm trying to think, why might they be like less likely to openly share their feelings?
So
and this is where his villain story starts.
I don't think I have enough booze in the house for this. So like, it's hard because everyone's supposed to be accepted, except for men. And then more especially...
Unless you transition.
Like the amount of times I've tried to explain, like, even to Enrique and our former camera crew and the Wandering Food Dudes, of like, as a white guy, as the only white guy in a crew of Hispanics, like the amount of times that they've made colonizer jokes or this, that, and the other things, like, like I know you mean it in friendly banter manner, like I'm not the monster, but like as the only white guy here, why am I being targeted for all these?
Hey, come to find out. Now you can have your revenge because he's a colonizer too.
Hey, let's get this right there. Let's get this right.
And so, like, there's an over-exaggeration of a feeling, right? Like,
yeah.
But you go into this thing as a man, or as a white person, or as a Latino, or as whatever your flavor is, and go, hey, look, I'm feeling this, but everyone immediately discounts it. Immediately. Oh, but so-and-so has it harder. Okay, good for them. I can't speak for them. I can only speak for how my feelings are.
Uh-huh.
And you talk about wanting to accept whoever's the feelings they are, except for, if it's not someone that you're currently approving of, then F them. right? Like that's kind of how it is. And like, I remember talking to this one young person, and when I met them, I thought their name was Samantha. Turns out their name was Savannah. And it took me 6 months to change from Samantha to Savannah. They were overly girly. I loved cute dresses and little dolls. So when I knew them at the time, it was between 16 and 18 years old. 19. And they went out of their way. I'm a cutesy girly girl. And then suddenly they were they, them. And they went from a they, them to he. And on hormones. And I was the monster because I would occasionally get the name wrong. From I would dead name them as the term. I was like, dude, I still think you're a Samantha. You were never a Samantha. I still think you're a Samantha. And I wouldn't spend an hour out of my way after the haunted house is closed to go drop you off at home and make sure you were safe if I hated you. But here you're saying that I'm a hater and I'm a bigot and all these things, when it's you shifted too fast for me to like process. Like, I'm not trying to be rude to you, but I think give me time. Give me time to catch the slip of the tongues, regardless of how I feel that you are probably doing this for attention.
I don't know, bro. I feel what you're doing. I feel what you're doing there. You're being very considerate about their feelings. In my personal experience, I don't give a damn about that. If you're a girl and you want to call yourself he, she, they, them, and I'm like, listen, you're not a group of people, so you are never going to be a they, them. Uh, you was born with whatever you was born, so you are biologically a man or a woman. There's no more than that. You are not a horse. You are not a giraffe. You are not a koala. You are not a wolf. You can pretend to be all those things. Those things we did as we were children. I respect you as a person, and I will treat you with dignity, and I will treat you, I will treat you like a human being deserves to be treated. I am not going to look at you like you are less than anything or more than anything. You are just a person. So I don't care if it's a slip of the tongue, because my name is Martin, and plenty of people has called me Marvin, Marcos, Marquise, and every other thing. And if I were to sit down all those times and cry boo-hoo that this is not my identity, oh my goodness, and start because that's basically what they're doing. Yeah. They're pouting at the fact that you don't call them what they want to be called. That is insanity.
I pledge to say I'm cool with doing that for them. I have no problem. I disagree with it, but I'm cool with it under one condition. If they're going to go ahead and call me Your Highness, Prince, whatever, I'm good with it. You can't tell me I have to convert my thinking to something you want out of respect and then tell me when I say I want to be labeled Prince or this or that. And I know it's dramatic, but it's still the point of don't change my mind.
Because if you do that, now you are a misogynist, now you are a bigot, now you are this, because you taking their stuff as a joke. No, and that's why I treat it so cut and dry. And I'm like, listen, I as a person, I respect you. You know what I'm saying? As a person, I will never do harm to you. I don't think you're less or more than anything. You're just a person just like me. You know what I'm saying? So I am not going to sit down and cater. If I don't cater to my kids, let alone to a stranger I don't know, because you feel like I'm supposed to give you a degree of respect because you chose at the blue of the sky to change your identity as a person. That is a mental problem.
I think especially amongst the under 30 community, they have a really hard time of understanding of what it means, what equality means, and what it means to be treated as equal.
Yeah.
No, you're not expected to be treated as an equal. You're expected to be treated as a superior by having men. Like, especially when it, like the men versus women conversation, women are like, oh my god, I was accused so much, like just talking about the game store community, because I play a lot of Warhammer 40,000. And a handful of women I deal with every so often, or interact with, they're so sexist and they're so abusive and this, that, and the other thing. So, okay, so what happened? well, they started questioning me on my knowledge of the lore and if I knew this and that and the other things. Like they did that to me, and I've been playing longer this game than literally half the people been alive. So you're saying it's abuse and being sexist when we're treating you like another guy. And I feel that the LGBTQ is kind of running into that same issue of we're treating you like any other guy is expected.
Like a regular person.
You're just not feeling special enough through that treatment.
Exactly. I'm saying if you want me to cater to you, that means that you feel that you're superior in any way, shape, or form, which you're not. And honestly, though, I think the people that created this whole environment was single moms.
That is another hot button topic that could go on for an hour or two easily.
Yeah.
Well, it's. I feel like nowadays, and I understand wanting to be. Okay, so let's put it this. I understand. So nowadays, everyone wants to identify and be labeled as something, especially people with 30s and unders. The people who are 30, 20s old, the adults, they want to be labeled something too, but a lot of them are falling for stuff that's like, there's something wrong that usually if you actually look into their lifestyle. I knew someone who we got an argument over it, a little argument, nothing horrible, but and they ended up towards the end admitting it, but it's one of those where when you're trying to identify something and you're trying to be that thing, it's because most of the people, it's like they don't feel loved enough, they don't feel listened enough, so they want to fit in somewhere. And because they don't know where to fit in, all of a sudden they listen to what other people are saying. Oh, I want to be labeled this, them, that, they, Z, they're all this stuff, and they choose this stuff. And some people, who have transitioned from male to female, female to male, mostly male to female, is because they can't get the opposite sex, or because they're feeling so alone. And granted, this is men's mental health, unfortunately. They're feeling so alone that they're vulnerable, and they're just doing whatever is going to be accepted. And because they know majority of people who have that thought process will accept them, they're now accepted, and they have people who will care about them. And that's where it leads to bad things, because you're not handling the mental health issue at hand.
Yeah.
You're escaping it from it by going into another category of something that you don't understand, but you're using it because, hey, I'm accepted.
Yeah. And this is why it comes, especially for men that transition into being a woman. And this is the reason why I say it's because of single mom's house. The dynamic inside the household is broken. There's no stable male figure that sits in that house to guide and teach this young man that is upcoming. And if he sits down there and he just see this behavior from the single mom and all this femininity and all this sort of stuff, just being exposed to that over femininity type of situation. Plus, it's not even so much femininity, but it is just this mental toxicity that they protrude and they just throw out there where they call men trash. Yet you are her son. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what kind of mixed messages are you sending to this person? So then like, okay, so my mama hate guys, so guess what? My only option is now to become a woman. But then they create the situation, and then this is the same community created by women and single moms that are targeting women and single moms. Like, I don't know if you guys read before that whole Taylor Jenner or something like that. I think that's her name, or his name, or whatever.
Oh, the lady who unalived?
No. Kylie Jenner from the Kardashians. I think it was the dad. Some shit, and then he decided to change his sex.
Yeah.
Caitlyn Jenner.
He was named Woman of the Year. So you have a man in a women role, and he beat women on being women. So that's what y'all looking for. Now y'all mad about all this other extra stuff and all this stuff that these men are doing that is disgusting. Because now you are taking on all the positions for women. You're taking women on sport, and you are a man that identify as a woman or transition into being a woman. And because you couldn't make it as a male athlete, Now you're beating women, not giving them a fair chance to do what they're supposed to do in their own, like in their environment that we created for them. The WNBA, women's swimming clubs, women's soccer, women this, women the other. But now you guys want to infiltrate this twisted men that want to believe they're women into their sport and then beat them at it. But then you're like, I'm a proud woman and I'm the champion. No, you are a man. Your muscle mass, your skills, your everything is a male. It is a whole male persona. Just because your mind thinks it's something different.
So here's a problem with them. Like, there is no coming of age ceremonies anymore. There's no women coming of age ceremonies anymore.
Yes, they are.
A huge part of
for Latinos there is. For Latinos there is. The quinceañera.
So strictly for females, mostly.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is strictly for women.
So with a handful of exceptions, there's a lot of that tradition has gone away.
Yeah.
So just within the U.S., there was the Boy Scouts of America, and there was Royal Rangers, which was a Boy Scouts of America but church-based, which I grew up in. After I got out of the military in 2015, a lot of those groups started closing down. Like, the churches went, it's too much money, it's too much effort, there's not enough people, we're going to close them down. And just in the last couple of months, the Boy Scouts got rid of their name of Boy Scouts. It's no longer Boy Scouts, it's Scouting America. But there's still Girl Scouts, but now there's Scouting America and Girl Scouts. But where is there...
So the Boy Scouts got to be inclusive, but the Girl Scouts still going to be Girl Scouts.
Right.
Until we got all this young, impressionable children changing their gender from being boys to girls, and they become little Girl Scouts that grow up to have built muscle mass.
Finds a group which can teach young children to be men in a healthy way, to be part of the community, to be self-sufficient in a way that, it's not about I don't need nobody, right? Because that's not what Boy Scouts and Royal Rangers taught. It was, I am self-sufficient enough that I can add to the group and not be a burden to the group.
Exactly.
Right? So we've taken that away, but we've given women all these opportunities. Just within my own lifetime, there was all these extra opportunities for women to go to STEM field, to science and math and all these things that I would have loved to have gone to. And I would have understood if it went, we're going to give women the priority seating, we're going to give them the first chances. But if the women don't, if there's a couple seats left over, we'll give it to a guy. But there's 5-10 seats left, but none of the women are going to take it, so we're going to not allow the guys to go. And so since the 90s and a bit earlier, there's been this really big push of pro-women, deny men everything. They're the oppressors, and so we're going to take everything from them. And so I think a lot of young people see that and either hear the propaganda of men have it all good, and so they want to become women to men, or go, why should I suffer through all these things? Women have it easier.
Exactly. And then yeah. Oh, yeah.
And find out that it's not. Like,
my bad, I'm back. I was in the bathroom real quick. I had to take a piss
9
again.
out of 10, I don't know, out of the 7 females I know who've gone male, 6 of them have said, I thought it would be so much easier once I transitioned. And once people started treating me as a guy, they stopped listening to me. They stopped giving me sympathy. It was like, it was not as easy as I thought it was. It's like I had all the same problems, but suddenly I wasn't given the time of day.
Mm-hmm.
I was expected, here's some advice, go handle it. And I can only, I can't speak for the other way because I have less experience with it of male to female. But it seems that they're just expecting, women get all the sympathy and all this listened to, and so they're at least able to back up. And from what little I've seen, it's like, Yeah, that makes sense. You're at least given that support during the transition period. And so, what do? You're not. You're running from your problems. You're not. There was one of the kids at the haunted houses that I was like, good on you. I'm going to be extra careful to follow your pronouns and your new name, because they actually went through 4 or 5 years of therapy and tried to eliminate every other problem before they made that transition. And they made that transition at about 20 years old. Right? They started the process at about 16 of, I'm going to talk to a therapist and see if I can't fix the depression and everything else first.
Yeah, but now this therapists and psychologists, what they're doing is just pandering to the nonsense.
I agree.
And not really like trying to go to the core issue that needs to be treated. You know what I'm saying? Because of the simple getting a little bit into this in the matter of like, okay, if you wanna identify something different. And the fact that you have the flexibility to say that today you are a he, she, or they, them, and the next month you want to change to I am a it, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like the fluidity of what you want to be called is beyond ridiculous. But then you want everybody to keep up with your personal beliefs and say, oh, yesterday she was a she they, or not, now she's a they them. So I'm supposed to automatically adjust and get that inside my head. Talk about like, oh yeah, in today's log of whatever, this person should be called this, that, and third. No, I don't have time for that. And that's why I'm never going to sit down and pander to them. I said, I was going to repeat it. I don't have anything against them as a person. But the fact that you want to sit down and barrage your beliefs and your mental problems onto others and make them normal and make them law is where I draw the line and will ever draw the line. And I will not surrender to that nonsense. You can go ahead and screw a cow for all I care. That is your problem. But the moment that you try to bring that into my life and make me believe that what you're doing is normal because you want to act like you are a zebra now, you know what I'm saying? Like some of these people be posting stuff about animals that are like asexual animals and animals that, you know, like have a different way of reproducing and stuff like that. And they want to apply like you're like never in the history of human life have a woman has ever been able to create life without the seed of a man.
Right.
And there's never been other than the movie Junior, which was a made up movie. A man has been able to be impregnated and birth a child.
Is
so
Schwarzenegger film?
Yeah, with Danny DeVito.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So like a man cannot give birth, and the fact that women want to transition to a man and say that man can give birth, and you think that we're gonna sit down here and believe that nonsense? You are out of your mind.
The fact that there's so much pushback from the women community about that, like it's gotten so fast, so far that the women themselves are like, we were all your J.K. Rowling alone. We were your allies. We were your LGBTQ front runners, and suddenly we're the monster. Like within a period of 5-10 years.
Yeah.
How do you go from the front runner and the cutting edge of support to I'm the enemy that fast?
Because they saw the reality of the situation and they called it out.
It is mind-boggling, right? Like it's just slow. Try to slow down. I know that, and this was the problem with the haunted house kids again. Of like, oh, we've been abused for so long. It's like, how long is long? 4 or 5 years. Oh, okay, 4 or 5 years is a blink of an eye, guy. Like,
okay, but even deeper than that, what is constitute abuse?
Right? Like, what am I supposed to do here? You say abuse is not 110% supporting whatever the flavor of the month is. Like,
you know, if you wanna handpick and nitpick whatever you wanna constitute as abuse when it's not the actual definition of abuse, they're like, oh, you abusing me. What did I say? You call me he. What? and I might date them, but you call me he, and that is your definition of abuse.
Well, it's funny because if you talk about I don't know if you guys know who Nora Vincent is. She's already unalived, but she did it in Switzerland or in a clinic. But basically, it was this female, huge activist in LGBT, huge. She decided she wanted to see why men, what men go through and what it is. And she was like, I don't think it's going to be that serious. I think, she wants to, she was going to write a book about it. And she ended up doing it for a year. And some of the stuff that she had said was, and I'm going to read this right here, was she wrote, I suspect people will go into this thinking, oh, it's written by a lesbian. She's going to be male bashing all the way down the line, Vincent says, by phone from Manhattan. But my experience was one that made me feel very vulnerable, made me feel a lot of pain and difficulty. While all of us in this post-feminist movement are convinced that women have always had it worse and men have always had it better, it took me stepping into their shoes to realize that that's not true at all. So here it says, she wrote quite a few books and whatnot, and then one of her quotes that she said was, you find yourself suddenly in a situation where all the social rules are different, Vincent says by phone from Manhattan. I likened it to suddenly hearing sounds that only dogs can hear. Case in point, when Nora would walk through her neighborhood, the guys hanging outside the bodegas would ogle her. When Ned walked by, that's who she decided to become, for the experiment, they would completely ignore him. It was really astounding the difference when I walked by those same places as a man and nobody would look me in the eye. It was a concerted looking away. It was a concerted looking away. Even if you were a good-looking guy, women would check you out in a very surreptitious way that isn't confrontational. There was a relief in the invisibility, she says. And then she goes to continue saying that the rejection that she experienced in the dating scene had a powerful impact. It's awful. I think most women don't have any idea how much guts it takes, how much emotional energy and confidence it takes to approach a woman, she said. Men need ego because they don't get to show weakness and they don't get to show need. They have to compensate for it by a sense of, I can do this, I'm entitled, because that's all they have. While guys, let's see. While guys may appear brutish, undemonstrative, and unfeeling on the surface, Vincent found that inside they're as victimized as women by their gender socialization, the straitjacket of the male role. What's more, although it won't please many feminists, Vincent concludes that women, not men, actually call the shots, at least where the hooking up is concerned. When you see it from a guy's point of view, you really realize that, if nothing else, the most basic sexual level, women can really take it or leave it just most of the time, she says. Just that aspect alone already gives us a leg up because we get to choose. We get to say, I'll take you, but I won't take you. That's a lot of power. And in the end, she said that was, it took her months to recover from her ordeal. She's like, that was hard. I had learned to present myself in a more male way mentally, not just in how I looked. And I needed to step away from that to slowly undo that. I had reclaimed myself. And she said, I wish I'd been a cooler guy, which maybe was a great thing because it was a typical male experience. I felt a bit geeky and inadequate. I wish I had been more of a stud. I don't know if you can print this, but I certainly held onto a piece of his balls. As Hamlet would say, probably the strongest remaining male advantage is thinking makes it so. It's that feeling that when I'm feeling afraid of something, I have to do it, or I'm feeling unequal to it. I say to myself, just do it. Don't think about it. Just get up and do it. There is a way in which that is a gift that men have that compensates for all things they don't have. Another thing that I watched was basically she was saying what women don't understand after she did this experiment was men have, when she was hanging out with guys bowling and stuff, she was like, yeah, it was free. I was able to be careful and do what I want to have fun and just be relieved. But realizing the stress of being a male and how many women shunned me or didn't think that my what I said mattered affected her. She didn't realize, as a female, especially as a lesbian, that men go through so much and we're so looked. I mean, she just did an experiment for a year and she was like, I've never been so like rejected and told that I was pretty much worthless because I'm a male versus a female. I have all the say so of whether the male approaches me or not, how he does, what he does, how he doesn't. Women think that they have it worse, but when it comes to reality, men's mental health, no one gives a fuck.
Oh.
That alone shows like women don't understand. It's yes, we it's a men's world, but without women we can't do anything, and vice versa. But when it comes to mental health, women are supposed to be emotional and talk and this, but if we talk, we're shunned down upon. It's one of those which is ridiculous. So, can men be vulnerable? Can men openly express vulnerability without being labeled weak? And how can we create a space where men feel comfortable discussing their mental health?
We'll move to another planet.
Bring back the male-only spaces. Bring back the spaces where guys can be guys and talk to the other dudes, whether that's at D&D night or at the pub or at the gym.
Yeah, shooting pool, something. Yeah, it's just, it's just, I don't know. At this point in time, sometimes it just kind of feels like fighting, like I'm fighting the current. If anything, like you're trying to fight against the current, because it becomes kind of pointless to talk about all this stuff and then express all this emotion and open up to how we feel about things and how we view things. But then at the end of the day, everything just gets rejected and gets thrown down because they'll see you as this monster or a female hater or misogynist or bigot or whatever else they want to throw down the line, just because we are voicing our concerns and our views of situation, and nobody's willing to reach to the other side and say, something, I might not understand you 100%, but I know the feeling, and we're here to hear you and comfort you and this, that, and the third. But honestly, like I want to finish this episode with a positive note. Um, for those who are going through mental problems, find yourself a really good support system of other men. Like I said, iron sharpen iron, and find you good people that is willing to be your shoulder in those moments where you need to express yourself, when you need to talk, when you need somebody that you can bounce ideas from, and just be that mental, emotional support that you need as men to continue carrying the weight that you do as men for for your family and for your loved ones. Um, and I mean, that's all I can say at the end of this.
So, for I'm gonna ask you two questions. One is just a direct answer, just a simple answer, and then the other one I want you to explain why, and then I definitely want to pick this up on a end it on a good note, like you said. But it's been trending on social media. Now, of course, we're not going to do the bear versus woman. Big question that's been going on has been, would you, for women, the original thing was, the statement was, it's 10 times scarier seeing a man alone in the woods than it is a bear. But then people switch it to, would you rather be alone in the woods with a man or a bear? It's been going crazy back and forth. But one guy did this thing, and I love it because it makes huge sense, especially for Mental Health Month, is I'm gonna ask you guys both. I'm gonna ask you guys a question, and then Martin just answer quick, Robert answer quick, and then I'll answer quick also, and then we're gonna explain this real quick. Is this guy? It's fucking genius. But would you rather tell your feelings to a woman or a tree?
I talk to a tree.
Agreed. Now, why?
Because statistically, women has been shown to use when you express your feelings to hang you by them feelings and embarrass you, drag you to the mud, and even incriminate you in shit that you have ever done because you decided to express feelings. So they twist your words and transform it into something that wasn't. And so, I mean, it sucks and it's sad to say that I'd rather talk to a damn tree than to a woman, but because of the same situation, because the same way how women feel scared about man in the woods, I feel scared about women's and their intentions and their hypocrisy and the two-face situation when it comes down to me expressing my feelings towards it.
Okay.
I'd
And
have
you,
to say
Robert?
it.
I agree. Tree. I've had it multiple times where I will explain, because I've been through a lot of cases where women have assaulted me or falsely accused me of things. and I had to prove my innocence, that I am hesitant to be around women by myself without witnesses. And then what happens is women who are supposed to be my mentor and be on my side end up teasing me about it. And it's like, so you're taking the things that I've told you in vulnerability and in confidence that this is a serious problem with me, and you're using it as a way to bring me down and to hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
So why should I ever bring back anything ever again with you?
Mm-hmm.
Facts. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I mean, it's unfortunate that is the experience with so many guys.
Yeah. No, I agree. Everything you guys said, ditto. Tree. It's exactly those reasons.
Stop lying. You know you will say a woman.
No, definitely tree. But even for the women who don't use it against you and stuff, it's still the issue because women will say, "Well, I would never do that. I would never use it against you." Okay, there are women who wouldn't use it against you, but telling a woman how you feel,
but you don't got labels on your forehead just like they used for the man. We don't know which ones are the good ones. They don't carry a label on the forehead.
You don't know, and the fact is, even if you're not that kind of woman, men like many men will agree with most likely is if you break down in front of your female, whatever, she looks at you now differently because now you let yourself be vulnerable. So now she looks at you as a little weak there. And for the ones who don't, it's one of those where we're still afraid to tell you because we've had so many issues with women. And like he just said, and like women have said, oh, we choose the bear because men don't have the label. So we don't know which ones are the ones that grape or assault and stuff like that. So here's the thing. We don't have labels as to who will not mock us when we're telling you how we genuinely feel and what's making us decide whether life is worth living in the way that we need to, or if we want to conform to what that is where it breaks us down. So it's quite simple. It's easier for a tree because at least a tree won't do anything that's going to bring it back to you in any way, regardless. It's just easier. So that's the unfortunate part. But the good thing is, and this is what we will end it on, is luckily men are very quick to make friends in a heartbeat. On Xbox, on D&D, all different ways, and we're able to. If you're able to find those good guys, like Martin said, those good people that you can trust and talk to, and legitimately have a good time and just bullshit with each other, like these crazy ass dudes right here. I can go to them; they can go to me. It's when you have that, it makes life easier and it makes life worth living and having fun because you know. It might be stressful, but I got these crazy motherfuckers here by my side. And I know that, you know what, it might be difficult, but they'll ride with me every step of the way and we can, help each other out and live that better life.
Or get you a dog. It's good, confident.
Or
it's better than it's an upgrade from a tree, to be honest with
you. Facts.
Is it a bully?
Yeah.
I love bullies. They're my favorite.
So, y'all, thank you for coming here. Thank you for chilling with us, participating on this Men's Mental Health Awareness. Remember, this is Men's Mental Health Month. We want to make sure we celebrate your man. If you're female, you have a man, listen to him. Don't judge him. Have fun. If you're a guy and you have other guy friends, same thing. Just regardless, make sure you understand what might not be little to you can be little to someone else. And even then, show some love. Be there. Understand all mental health is important, no matter who it is, but especially men's mental health, we need to make sure we put an eye on that. But find yourself some good friends, get some drinks, have some fun, subscribe, hit the notification bells, follow us on Spotify, Instagram, TikTok. What else do we have? Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Yes, YouTube, the main one, YouTube. Follow us on all that. Have us have a great time, great day, good time. Make sure you show us that love.
Mr. Fishback, you got any inspirational words for the men out there?
It can always get worse, and it usually does. So be happy with what little you have, because that too will be taken from you.
I love that.
Sad of what will happen, but for you to be prepared and to enjoy every last bit that you have while you have it.
Great. Guys, this is Mr. M2J, your boy Poetic, and our guest, Mr. Fishback, and another episode of Latino Soul Filter, guys. Happy Men's Mental Health Month. Until the next time, this has been Latino Soul Filter. Hasta luego, familia.
Nos vemos.